Hi Year 4 and welcome to The Person Controller by David Baddiel. So we're on to chapter 5 now, and we were promised that we were going to be told a little bit more about Fred's experience with the football trials, which I don't think went very well. So chapter 4, Fred's football trials, just one example. So there's obviously been many issues at the football trials, but this is one of them. This was last year when Fred was in year 5 for the trial. Fred had spent all his pocket money on a new pair of football boots, bright yellow ones, marauders. Fred was totally convinced that they were going to make all the difference to the fact that he hadn't been picked on any of the 3 preceding years. Unfortunately, Eric and Janine had never taught Fred how to tie his shoelaces properly. So what normally happened was that every morning before school, Ellie would tie Fred's school shoes very, very tightly with a triple bow. And that would be fine, and they would stay tied for the whole day. But before the school team trial, Fred had asked Ellie to tie these marauders with just a single bow because a triple bow he thought would be too bulky and make it very difficult. For example, when the ball came to him on the edge of the penalty area, to bend it around 5 defenders into the top right-hand corner. Not something he had ever done, but he was sure he was going to this time. Really, said Ellie, kneeling down by the touchline of the school pitch. I say school pitch and touchline. Bracket Wood was a good school, more or less, but its school pitch was a muddy triangle in the local park, and its touchline was the concrete path around it. Really, said Fred, a single knot, and ran on, and as his laces came untied, tripped over into some mud, and then ran backwards and forwards to the touchline throughout the game so that Ellie could retie his shoelaces. He did stop doing that eventually, because after the 5th time Ellie said, if you're not going to let me tie a triple knot, I'm not tying them at all anymore, and went to sit on the roundabout in the playground 6 metres away. After which Fred had to ask the referee, Mr. Barrington, to tie his shoelaces. Bracket Wood was a good school, more or less, but its sports teacher was Mr. Barrington, who was 67 and wore glasses with lenses thicker than a rhinoceros's foot. So after Mr. Barrington had sighed very heavily and bent down on one knee in the mud to tie up Fred's shoelaces, and after it had taken him 3 minutes to get up again, during which time 4 goals were scored that never got recorded, he made a point of running, well, staggering away every time Fred approached him. Fred didn't know what to do. His boots kept on coming off. Briefly, he even wished his mum or dad was there, which was something he didn't often wish for. Then, eventually, Ellie came back from the playground and Fred let her tie the marauder shoelaces into a triple bow. 2 minutes later, the ball came to him on the edge of the penalty area. Come on, Fred, shouted Ellie. Hit it! Fred focused on the ball. He ran towards it, confident now that his shoelaces were not going to come undone. He hit the ball square in the middle of his left boot, square in the middle of his triple bow. So the ball went almost nowhere near his actual foot. Fred, to be fair, had been right. A bow that size was too bulky, which wasn't much comfort to him as the ball spun backwards over his head, hitting Mr. Barrington full in the face. Ow! said Mr. Barrington as his rhino foot lens glasses flew off his face into the mud. We've got quite a comical picture there. Poor old Fred. Poor old Mr. Barrington. Everyone apart from Fred laughed loud and long. Fred himself just turned and walked off, knowing that he certainly wasn't getting into the school team this time. Now, let's go back to the main story. Okay. Right, well, join me next time, children, for chapter 6. See you soon. Bye.